was used to fund this attack. Are we looking at an internal power struggle, or do we need to look beyond Bangladesh's borders?
I think the implication is that we are looking at a very fragile situation in Bangladesh, and the suggestions that the government of Bangladesh is making have been picked up in the Indian press, and there are suggestions in the Indian press that the Pakistani security services, the ISI, and perhaps Islamist forces might be involved. Now, this is very significant if it's true, because what they're suggesting is that after a very long time there was a rapprochement between the political leadership in Bangladesh and military leadership. The head of the current military, Moin Ahmad, is someone who is trying to make overtures towards India, has visited India, has invited Indian officers to Bangladesh. And the implication here is that someone was trying to disrupt that rapprochement. India has been trying to get transit rights through Bangladesh and cooperate with Bangladesh on security, because there are insurgencies going on in the northeast of India, and India wants Bangladesh to help it in containing its insurgents. So on the government side, there's a very...
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add to that, in that we do know that Pranab Mukherjee, the current standing-in Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of India, as well as the Americans, have been in Bangladesh talking about security and securing Bangladesh's borders, because there's been a great deal of dispute, not just between Bangladesh and India, but also about their sea border as well, and mineral rights and oil rights and wealth that could flow either from Bangladesh or through it. So Bangladesh is very important at this moment in time.
Yes, and many Bangladeshis feel that Bangladesh is not getting a good deal, because on the one hand, India wants to have transit rights through Bangladesh and wants Bangladeshi cooperation on security, but at the same time it's also building a fence around Bangladesh, because India feels that there are illegal migrants coming out of Bangladesh and trouble coming out of Bangladesh into India. And so this vision of a Bangladesh which is both fenced in and somehow a security partner and with a road running through it, which is a transit route for India, is criticized by many Bangladeshis. And although many people in the center would want to have much closer cooperation with India, they also want Bangladesh to get a good deal. So on the one hand, you have the government, which is making implicit allegations that anti-Indian forces are trying to disrupt it. On the other hand, the nationalist opposition is also making allegations that there was a hidden hand behind this tragedy. And their allegation is that, although they're not saying this explicitly, is that pro-Indian forces were behind it, because what they're implicitly alleging is that the biggest victim of this has been the Bangladeshi officers of the Bangladesh Army, which is a bastion of Bangladeshi sovereignty, and at the same time it has delegitimized the security forces which are guarding the border. So a single event has both taken out perhaps 100 officers of the Bangladesh Army and taken out or delegitimized the security of the borders. And this is, and from their perspective, this is not in Bangladesh's interest, and puts Bangladesh in a very weak bargaining position with India at a very critical time.
If we look inwards, in terms of Sheikh Hasina has barely been in office in her second term for, 2 months now. She seems to have a relatively good working relationship with the head of the army, Moin Ahmad, who was thought to be supporting the interim government during the state of emergency for 2 years. And now this calamity upon the internal politics of the country. How fragile is the relationship between civilian government now? Because the BDR comes under the Interior Ministry and the military.
Yes, I think it's very difficult to say how this will play out. There is a lot of anger within the lower ranks of the army that the government didn't do enough or didn't act rapidly enough to save the lives of army officers who were within that compound. Now, I think if the government has information that there was money coming in and this was pre-planned, the quickest way to diffuse the situation would be for the government to have a transparent and a quick resolution to identify who might have been behind this. Because if this goes on, if this uncertainty continues, then this very fragile relationship that was developing between the government and the army would be in threat.
Well, that's all the moment, Mushtaq Khan from the University of London. Thank you so much for joining us from London itself. Thank you.